This is Witch-based news for Friday the 19th of September 2025. I'm Commander Burr. In Elite Dangerous news this week, deconstruction of colonised stations and starports is announced, paid commander name changes are coming, Frontier introduces the first Galactic edition pre-built ship, and we have some breaking news on incoming changes to the Type-11. If you enjoy our videos, consider subscribing to the channel and remember to ping the little bell to make sure you see all our content and community posts. And if you'd like to help support our channel, links to our Patreon and everything else are in the description below. We start the show this week with a reminder that the latest community goal in the game, which involves delivering cartographic data to Space Gajillionaire Zachary, I've got so many credits stuffed into my pants that I have to be carted around in a 4x4 Rackham, is due to end on Monday next week, right before the next update to the game is deployed. More on that in a moment. For staying in the top 75% of the CG, as well as earning a wafer thin slice of Zachary's colossal credit wealth pool, you'll also get a pre-engineered detailed surface scanner that comes with greatly increased scanning radius. It's not something we haven't seen in the game before, but I can personally attest that they are absolutely worth having at least once. If you've not yet participated in the goal, it's not yet too late, and I'm grateful to Commanders The Announcer and Zulu Romeo for performing some science on the community goals numbers that seem to indicate you're awarded 1 point each per body for using the Discovery Scanner, the Full Spectrum System Scanner and the Detailed Surface Scanner, giving a total of 3 possible points per body in a given system. And on screen now, thanks to Inara, you can see how those points stack up in the community goal and where you'll sit in the rankings to ensure you're going to get the scanner when the CG cycles on Monday. It's generally accepted at this point that the mystery in the game that recently pointed to the missing scientist Terry Torra, the permit locked system of HIP 87621 and the 37 light year wide sphere of systems around it that can't be colonised, will almost certainly move on to its next phase alongside the end of the CG as part of the Type-11 update, which lands the very next day. We know from the mystery text in the game that it's hinting to changes in exobiology in one form or another, and we'll talk more about that and the Type-11 Prospector later in this show. Regulars to this show will remember the Lantern Light starport that became a meme in the community for a short period at the start of the colonisation boom, even garnering itself a rapidly spinning starport limited edition cockpit bobblehead. In the same vein then, our thanks go to Commander Martin GW for the heads up on the starport called Black Iron Singularity they've built in the system D Lupi that has been placed around one of the 2 black holes that system features. Given the intense gravitational forces that are at play around 350 kilometers from the starport, the Coriolis is forced to orbit its parent Singularity roughly once every 8.5 seconds. The rotational period of the starport is also doing its utmost to keep pace with the nearby end of all time and space, and is therefore rotating somewhere near the max roll speed of a ship like the Mandalay. I'm pleased to report that docking at Black Iron isn't quite the vomit inducing toast rack shattering death spiral that was the central feature of Lantern Light, being largely achievable in manual flight, but as you can see, it does feature some severe wibbly wobbly spacetime effects throughout the approach. You can find a link to a forum thread documenting some other examples of Singularity adjacent starports in the description below, as well as Alec Turner's list of interesting and unusual colonisation highlights, which is always worth a look if you're in the market for some sightseeing. FDev announced this week that when the Type-11 Prospector goes into early access next week, they will also be launching what they're calling the Galactic edition of the ship. Prior to this point, new ships had entered early access with 2 versions available. A standard edition that just delivers a deployable, generally E-rated version of the ship, as well as also making the ship available for a regular credits purchase from shipyards, or a Stellar edition, which as well as the standard features also delivers a deployable A-rated version of the ship and comes with paint jobs and a ship kit. The standard edition for a medium or small ship is 16,520 arcs, the Stellar edition is 33,000 arcs. The new Galactic edition of the Type-11 comes in at a whopping 60,000 arcs. That's roughly 25 to 30 pounds in our local currency, depending on how you purchase your arcs, and as well as the standard and Stellar edition features, it also comes with a second ship kit and a new cosmetic feature that FDev are calling an animated holo kit. In the case of the Type-11, it's a sort of scrolling chevron holographic pattern, somewhat reminiscent of those seen at the orbital colonisation delivery yard landing pads. None of this is of course necessary to operate the vessel, it is just purely cosmetic bling. It's worth taking note as well that when purchasing arcs from Frontier, historically these arcs packs also came with an increasing amount of bonus arcs on top the more you purchased. At some point very recently these bonus arcs have been folded into the total amount of arcs you get, so each purchase is now just a straight up flat amount of arcs for each tier that you buy. I'm pleased to report however that you are getting exactly the same amount of arcs as before, including the bonuses. Nothing has really changed, it's now just far less confusing and much clearer than before. Elsewhere in Type-11 news, just as we were going to press, FDev have announced that after significant feedback from a number of partnered content creators when trialling the Type-11 this week, they will be making the following changes before the ship goes into early access next week. The number of fragments per second the ship produces when mining will be increased. The speed at which limpets travel will also be increased, and the number of limpets the controller can handle will be increased. We're assuming this is just for the Class 5 multi-limpet controller that the Type-11 uses, but that is specifically unconfirmed. The chance of enriched or bigger, more valuable chunks spawning will be increased, and the spread of rounds from the repeater mining tool will be reduced, giving it higher precision and hopefully less opportunity to destroy its own fast and more numerous limpets. As well as these gameplay changes, there will be some fixes to the T11 cosmetics and to its landing gear, and I'm very pleased to be able to say that FDev are also addressing the much reported strobing and flashing effect produced by the repeater that was so damaging to those who suffer with photosensitivity, and they are further investigating a solution to minimise the distracting effects of the audio from the repeater just coming through one audio channel due to the weapon's offset placement. Whilst we've yet to test this stuff in game, it's fantastic that FDev have clearly listened to the feedback given and acted quickly to address the concerns expressed, and they are to be commended for that. Along with the partner program early access to the Type-11 mining vessel, Frontier also sent along some surprising and rather unexpected information about new features arriving to various aspects of the game sometime soon. First out the gate then, FDev are planning to release a new tool that, for a fee of 500 arcs as of this video, will enable commanders to change their name in the game. That's only a nugget more than the amount of arcs that can be earned in the game for free in a week just by playing. It's always been the case prior to this that FDev have entertained requests from players to change their commander name, but they would generally only do it once, and it was also required direct contact with the company's support department and was a manual process for an individual at the company to action. Having a user-driven systemic solution that supports the tides and whims of a player's personal online identity in exchange for a cash transaction is nothing unusual in an online persistent game, and has been a staple feature of titles like World of Warcraft or Star Trek Online for decades. So it's probably about time that Elite caught up in that regard. The name change feature will arrive alongside the Type-11 update and will have a 7-day cooldown period once used. Next up, the commodity requirements for a given system's colonisation projects are going to be listed on the galaxy map when you click on a star system, as well as when you select a facility on the system map, making the planning of hauling trips easier and also less likely to take you out of the game constantly to look at third-party applications. The biggest and most radical change coming to colonisation, however, will be the ability to demolish or cancel both your fully constructed colonisation assets or ongoing constructions. The obvious question is going to be what happens to the commodities that I or my squadron mates donated to the build. Are they just lost? We haven't been told specifically, but it's difficult to see how any storage or ownership logistics could be handled if they weren't just lost to the ether, however. We don't yet know when these features specifically will be added, just that they're on their way. And the last nugget released, which has to be tied to the ongoing ExoBio linked mystery in the game, is the scanning range of the handheld genetic sampler that comes with the Artemis spacesuit being increased by a factor of 10 from the current largely moderately ineffective 75 metres to a whopping 750 metres. For my own part, I find looking for biosigns from a ship still mostly more effective than using the scanner at all, and I've yet to be convinced that more range when trying to find something that is small and likely on the other side of your personal on-foot horizon will change that. We currently don't yet know the direction FDev is looking to take this in or what else the new scanning range might entail, so we're really keen here to get our mitts on all of it and understand more about where we're going forward. I have to say I'm very pleased to see FDev has turned their eye at least in some part towards their somewhat maligned on-foot gameplay, and I sincerely hope it's a trend that they continue to embrace and expand upon. It's worth underlining that everything I've talked about here is still a work in progress. We're not sure yet when all of it will be added to the game, and also be aware that any or all of the numbers or prices of anything I've mentioned here could change before any update arrives, so be sure to keep that in mind. When we know any more, we will of course let you know right here. What's your current standing in the community goal? Will you be visiting Black Iron Singularity Starport, and what are your thoughts on the extended range genetic sampler? Let us know in the comments below. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be back later this week with more videos. Until then, 07 commanders, follow the greens on the way out and do keep clear of the toast rack. We very much look forward to seeing you next time.